Hey guys, this is April Small and I'm back again to deliver the missions message to you. And I'm so excited that Miss Karen asked me to do that again. It's been a lot of fun. Hope all of you guys had a great week and a great weekend. And I'm excited to share what God has laid on my heart for you. So, since this is missions, I've been thinking and praying about what God would like me to share, and a thought kept coming to mind, and it was that you are a child of the King. We are all sons and daughters of the one true King, which is God. And I just kept thinking about that, and a certain missionary really stuck in my head, and this was a missionary that I learned about when I was in college, and also recently, my daughter Juliet had to do some missionary projects for school, and one of her really good friends chose this missionary for her project. So Juliet was also talking about it. And then I remembered a long time ago, there was a teacher that I worked with, and she shared in a chapel about this missionary and something really neat, and it always stuck with me. So I thought I would share that with you. All right, so the Bible verse that we're going to be incorporating is going to be from 2 Corinthians 6:18, and it says, "And I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty." So from this verse, I just love it because it's God talking, and he's saying, I'm your father. And we know that God is the ultimate royalty. He's I am, he's everything. And so for him to say that we get to be his sons and daughters, what a privilege. All right, so the missionary that I want to talk to you about, her name is actually Amy Carmichael. And I don't know if you've heard of her. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. So Amy Carmichael was born in Ireland in 1867. Yes, that's a long time ago. And she passed away in 1951, but her legacy that she left for God still lives on today. And so she actually grew up in a really large family. She had lots of siblings. And as she was growing up, she felt very left out for one certain reason, and I'm going to show you. So everyone in her family had blue eyes. And she would talk about how pretty her family's eyes were, and she wanted blue eyes because she was the only one in her family that had brown eyes. And she just wanted to fit in. It's not that there's anything wrong with having brown eyes. But it's just something that really kind of bothered her as a child, and she would even pray like, God, could you turn my eyes blue so I can have the same color eyes as everybody else in my family? But God made her perfect just the way he wanted her, just like he made you and I. No matter what you look like, what color your hair is, your eyes, anything like that, your physical features, God created you. You are royalty and you are perfect. And later on in the story, we're going to hear why the color of her eyes was actually so important for the purpose that God had called her to. So, moving on, as she grew up, she really developed a love for the Lord, and she wanted to be a missionary. She wanted to go to another country, though, and she wanted to share about God's love. And so she first ended up in Japan for a little while, and she was learning the language there and everything, but she really felt like maybe that wasn't the place that she would stay long term. Well, long story short, she ended up traveling to a place in India. And most missionaries, when they go to another country, it takes a lot. You have to raise support and funds, and then you go there for several years, and then you leave for something called a furlough, which basically means that you're kind of coming back to the United States. You're gonna take a little break, spend a little time with your family, and then if you feel called to go back and that God wants you to go back, then you'll raise money and kind of do it all over again. Well, guess what? She felt so called to this place in India that she went as a young woman and never left. She stayed there forever. Now, I will say that her father had passed away, and so she was not really, I wouldn't say she was an orphan, because I think she was 17 or 18 when it happened, but she really didn't have that connection with her parents, and so she ended up leaving because, in the United States, other than her brothers and sisters, I don't really think she had much left. So she stayed there, but the neat thing about why she stayed. That's the really cool God thing in this whole entire story. So when she went over there, she realized that there was this group of girls in India that were very badly mistreated. And what would happen over there is that the parents, they were so lost, they would dedicate their children to false gods. And the Bible talks a lot about false gods and idols. And they would leave these little girls at the temples there in that country. And at the temples, they would just be mistreated and bad things would be done to them. And it was just really sad. And it broke Amy Carmichael's heart, because these girls really had no hope. And it was a very poor area. People didn't want to take them in. Oftentimes, if a child was born with some type of deformity, like maybe their hand was a little bit deformed, or maybe there was something, maybe they had an eye that would turn out a little bit, just a minor thing, they would disown them and they would just leave them at the temple. And so these little girls would just grow up thinking that they didn't matter. And it really hurt her heart. It hurts my heart just thinking about that, because I have 4 daughters and I can't imagine. So Amy really wanted to show these kids that, you know what, God made you perfect. You are a child of the one true King. You are a child of God, and you are loved. And all of that other stuff doesn't matter. The way God made you is perfect. Now, I want to go really quick back to the whole eye story. So you remember when Amy was growing up, she really felt left out from her family because she didn't have blue eyes. Now, I will tell you, in this part of India, it was almost like women at that time in that part of the country in India just didn't really have a lot of rights. They weren't allowed to do a lot of things. It just wasn't culturally acceptable. And so for her to go over there and be a missionary was actually very dangerous, and she could have gotten in a lot of trouble. And one thing that she had to do if she wanted to stay there long term was to blend in. Now, in that country, the people there, they had much darker skin, they had darker hair and dark eyes. Now, it was very easy for Amy to disguise the rest of herself. Sometimes she would even use mud and give herself like, I guess a mud face mask or something, and just kind of make her skin color darker. And they would all of the girls had to wear head coverings. That was just part of something culturally that they had to do. And so everything, would be covered, and the only thing that people would see was her eye color. And remember how she had prayed so hard as a child, God, how come I'm the only one that doesn't have blue eyes in my family? I really want blue eyes like everybody else. But God told her, you know what? I gave you brown eyes for a reason. I made you just the way I wanted you to be. And guess what? Those brown eyes are what helped her to blend in. It was very uncommon to have blue eyes in that area where she was a missionary. So having those brown eyes, even though it seems really small and insignificant, she wanted something different, but God had something better and a plan for her. And because she was able to blend in, she was able to stay there for decades. She even started a special home for those girls I told you about, and told them about God, and they were able to grow up, and that home still is there in that area where she was a missionary. And I think about her life, like she really left a legacy for God, and something so tiny when she was a child that she prayed about. I wonder if she thought about that as she got there and realized, you know what, these brown eyes that God gave me, they're important. God made me for a purpose, and I am a child of the King, and I want to tell other people. So let's go back to that Bible verse, and it's 2 Corinthians 6:18. And I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. So I just want to remind you guys that you are a child of the King. You are perfect the way that He made you. You are made for a purpose. And if you ever doubt that, I want you to think about Amy's story and how much one woman impacted so many children because of her love for God. And she was able to tell them the message that I'm telling you today. So share that with somebody. Maybe you have a friend that needs to hear this. All right. Well, Love you guys, miss you guys, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye, Living Well.